Story 1. What we shouldn't have found in El Verde. My name's David, and this story took place in the spring of 1986. I was a junior at a top business school, serious about my grades, but not immune to a little recklessness. That spring, instead of heading home, I flew to Puerto Rico with my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Camila. I'd never met her family before. She warned me they were the kind who asked too many questions and told too many secrets. She wasn't wrong. Her uncles grilled me. Her cousins gave me that knowing smile. But it was fine. They liked me. And I liked Camila. I really liked her. Halfway through the week, we planned a hike through El Verde, a rainforest inside the national forest system. It was her idea. Camila said there was a specific trail she used to walk as a kid, one with waterfalls and hidden caves. But when we got there, the entrance was chained off with a big red trail closed sign. Flooding, maybe. Or landslides. Doesn't matter. Camila was already climbing over the barrier before I could say a word. And I followed her. At first, it was magical. Quiet. Isolated. Just the two of us and the sound of birds and water. Then Camila screamed. She jumped back, nearly knocking me over. I looked where she was pointing and saw it, the body of a large mongoose lying in the middle of the path. Its head was missing. Not ripped off. Cut. Clean. The strangest part. It didn't smell. That thing had been killed recently. I told Camila to stay calm, that maybe it was just a hunter or an animal control issue. I didn't even believe myself. But we kept going. She was pale, but stubborn. 15 minutes later, we passed the same spot. Except the mongoose was gone. I stopped cold. Camila whispered, "That's impossible." But it wasn't gone. It had been moved. Above us, swinging gently from a branch, the mongoose dangled by twine. Legs bound. A deep green fluid dripping from its fur. It turned slowly in the air, and I swear to God, its head was back. But stitched on. Poorly. Camila screamed again, a sound I'd never heard from another human being. Pure panic. I grabbed her wrist and we started running back the way we came. We made it maybe 100 feet when we heard it. A woman's scream. Somewhere deep in the trees. Not Camila. Not an echo. Someone else. Someone in pain. Camila started crying and begged me not to stop. I didn't. We ran until the trailhead came back into view. And that's when we saw him. A man. Wearing a park ranger uniform, but something about it looked wrong. He wasn't standing by the entrance. He was off to the side, partially behind a tree. Watching. Not helping. Camila didn't notice. She was too busy gasping for air. But I did. I made eye contact. And he smiled. The rest is a blur. A real ranger showed up minutes later, a different one, driving a utility vehicle, and that guy was just gone. Like he'd never been there. We told the new ranger everything. The animal, the screams, the man. He looked disturbed. Said they'd investigate. We left Puerto Rico the next day. Camila and I broke up a few months later. She stopped answering my calls. And 2 years after that, I got a letter from her cousin. It was just one sentence. The forest remembers what you take. I never went back. Story 2. The Man on the Beach Road. My name's Tyler. Last year, my friends and I, Jordan, Sierra, and Liz, decided to go camping on a remote stretch of beach in Alabama. It was supposed to be cheap, private, and simple. No bars. No crowds. Just sand, fire, and beer. We got there around dusk. The nearest parking lot was about a quarter-mile from the sand, and by the time we reached the dunes, the sky was bleeding orange. It was beautiful. Empty. No fishermen. No other campers. Just us. I brought my dog, a big Doberman named Knox, and we let him run wild while we set up camp. About 20 minutes in, Sierra pointed out a car on the access road, a beat-up white SUV. It passed us slowly, then disappeared. Didn't think much of it. Until it came back. And this time, it stopped. A tall man stepped out. Alone. He started walking toward us, slow and limping slightly, like his right leg wasn't working properly. Knox stood up immediately, ears locked. The guy didn't say hello. Didn't smile. He just stopped about 10 feet from our fire and said, "This is my land." His voice was flat. Slurred. Like someone pretending to be drunk, but missing the right notes. Jordan calmly told him we thought it was public beach. The guy didn't argue. He just reached into his jacket and pulled out a knife. Knox lunged before I could react. The man went down screaming as Knox clamped onto his arm. The knife dropped into the sand, and I shouted for Knox to back off. He did, reluctantly. The man scrambled up and ran back to his SUV. We stood frozen as the taillights disappeared into the darkness. Sierra was shaking. Liz wanted to pack up and leave immediately, but we didn't feel safe walking all the way back to the car in the dark. That road wasn't visible from the beach, and now we knew we weren't alone out there. We called the police. 15 minutes later, a cruiser met us near the lot. The officer asked for details, then glanced at my car and frowned. All 4 tires are slashed. My stomach dropped. The SUV guy must have done it before we even saw him. The officer unholstered his weapon and made me pop the trunk. Thankfully, nothing else was tampered with. But we were stranded. He called a tow and waited with us. Before he left, he said, "This isn't the first report we've had like this. Might not be the last. But here's the part one still can't explain." When we got home, Jordan posted a few pictures from the trip, shots of the beach, Knox playing, us around the fire. A guy in the comments, random account, no profile pic, replied with, "Tell your dog next time, he won't be so lucky." We reported it. The account disappeared. But we never figured out who it was. Or how they knew about the dog. Story 3. The Giveaway. My name's Emily, and this happened during spring break last year. My best friend Kayla and I had rented a small Airbnb in Charleston, something cozy, cheap, close to the historic district. We weren't party animals, just 2 burned-out college juniors looking for seafood, quiet bars, and sleep. The first 2 nights were perfect. On the 3rd day, we grabbed lunch at a small cafe tucked between antique shops. The food was forgettable, but they were doing some local giveaway thing, win a free dinner, just write your name and number. Dumb tourist bait. We filled it out anyway. We'd forgotten all about it by dinner. That night, we were at a rooftop bar when I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey." I figured it was spam. Until a second text came in. That's a nice red jacket. I was wearing one. Bright red. Couldn't be a coincidence. I scanned the crowd, laughing, dancing, sipping cocktails. No one was looking at me. I told Kayla, and we decided to leave. Back at the Airbnb, we locked the doors, closed the curtains, and tried to laugh it off. An hour later, a knock at the door. I checked my phone. Uber Eats had just marked our food as delivered. But the knock. Too soon. Kayla whispered, "Don't open it." I looked through the peephole. A man. Hoodie. Big. Holding a takeout bag. He wasn't a delivery guy. No hat. No name tag. No receipt taped to the bag. He just stood there. Then, he said my name. Emily. Open the door. My blood ran cold. Then he said, "You need to sign something." Kayla was already dialing 911. I whispered through the door, "Leave it." He didn't. He jiggled the doorknob. Hard. Then he slammed his body against the door, once, twice, screaming my name. And then, silence. I looked through the peephole again. He was gone. But the bag of food was still on the step. When the police showed up, they asked if I knew anyone named Victor. I didn't. But the cops said they'd found a phone on the man they'd arrested 3 blocks away. It had texts. To me. From earlier that day. The kicker. It wasn't even his phone. It belonged to a girl who had gone missing from Charleston 2 weeks prior. Her name was written on one of the giveaway cards from that same cafe. And mine was right under it. Story 4. The delivery wasn't meant for us. My name's Rachel, and this happened during spring break last year. My best friend Camille and I were both broke college juniors, desperate for an escape. Cancun and Hawaii were way out of reach, so we found a cheap Airbnb in Charleston, close to the historic district, but far enough off the beaten path to stay within budget. We were just looking for a chill trip. Some food, some bars, a little sun. And for the first few days, that's exactly what we got. We explored the cobblestone streets, hit a few rooftop lounges, and talked about how we'd one day afford real vacations. Then came Saturday. That afternoon we were having a late lunch at a seafood joint Camille found online, low-key, no tourists, amazing hush puppies. Mid-meal, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey." I showed Camille. She didn't recognize the number either. I wrote back. "Who is this?" No reply, until a few minutes later. "Look outside." We both glanced toward the window. Just regular street traffic. Nothing weird. Maybe a prank. I even laughed a little. But then came the third message. One word. Rachel. Camille stiffened. "That giveaway," she whispered. 2 days earlier, we'd entered a win a free dessert contest at a local coffee shop. They'd asked for names and numbers. Suddenly, this didn't feel like a prank anymore. We tried to shake it off, ended up at a bar across town. Loud music, younger crowd, perfect distraction. But halfway through our second drink, I felt my phone buzz again. Nice red jacket. I nearly dropped my glass. I was the only one in red. I scanned the crowd, nothing. Everyone was dancing, drinking, shouting over the music. We left. Back at the Airbnb, we locked everything. Windows, back door, even the bathroom. We didn't talk much, just turned on some trash TV and waited for our Uber Eats order. 45 minutes of pure tension. Then came the knock. I checked the app, no photo of a drop-off, just driver arriving. Through the peephole, I saw a man in a hoodie holding a paper bag. He didn't leave it. He stood there. Knock. Delivery for Rachel. I told him, thanks, just leave it. He didn't move. Then. I need a signature. No Uber Eats driver had ever said that. Camille was already dialing 911. The man started banging. Rachel, open the door. Then something that made my stomach twist, the sound of the code lock on the back door, a failed attempt. Then another. Followed by a text. From Camille's number. Hurry. He's coming. I ran to the peephole. The man was gone. 10 minutes later, blue and red lights flashed through the blinds. Police tackled a man 2 houses down. Camille was brought back in a separate cruiser. Crying. Her phone, stolen. All those messages weren't from her. The guy had followed us from the cafe. Taken photos of the sign-up sheets. Tracked us. Waited. Pretended to be a delivery guy. Tried the code we'd used on the keypad earlier that day. But here's the part that still haunts me. He wasn't working alone. Police found 2 phones on him. One was his. The other was Camille's. The second device was active, with 1 contact saved. Just 1 word. Next.
This story has come to an end. Ever had something like this happen to you? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next true horror story.